Alright, so in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how a more in-depth tutorial on entities and a lot of other stuff. So, if you say you wanted an NPC, or really, there's a broad spectrum of what you can use, but so in the last video I showed you with your entity tool right here, you can place down a info player start, which is this is what the spawn point is called. Now if you go to your selection tool and you double click on the info player start, this window will pop up. It might seem scary at first, but it's very simple. Basically there's these 6 tabs up here, and there's basically outputs and inputs. I'll cover that in a later video. I'll just cover all this. I'm just going to show you how to do this first. So the class right now for you, this is the main thing you want to worry about. So say you wanted to put in a combine. Literally type in combine, NPC combine S. Now you got a combine soldier. And another thing that's really helpful, like a little trick, is if you are selected on your entity or your brush or whatever you're selected on, if you copy it and just paste it in the 3D view, it'll go wherever your cursor is. It's pretty useful. So that's a combine soldier. Now say I wanted a rebel. I think it's citizen, maybe? Yeah, I think you put down a citizen. See, okay, so there's your citizen. Now if you go down, I think, so this is your properties and your values. These are just basic, they're really useful. So say you wanted to give your thing a name. So you press on the name thing up here and you just give it a citizen, right? Now other entities can kind of, so if you have named your thing, other entities or so with inputs and outputs, you can kind of call on to the citizen and change its values, or yeah, just I'll show you later. These other values are also pretty important. You got pitch, yaw, roll, you know, rotation and such. Use physics gun. Basically this, it's a yes or no, and if it's a no, you cannot move it with your physics gun. Some of these you don't need to really worry about. Damage filter, this could be cool. There's an entity called like a filter. Basically it just filters what it can get damaged by. There's a lot of other stuff, a lot of AI stuff here, like wake radiance. There's a lot of other stuff here. Like parent, you can parent this to something else, which I really suggest not doing because it's an NPC. I don't even think it works. Is this a vital ally? I think this was used for Half-Life, so just if you killed it, if this NPC died from, like, in Half-Life, for example, if Alex died while you were with her, the game would end and reload you from a separate save. It's like that. Except in Garry's Mod, it can't really reload you, so. For type here, you can change it to Rebel, and then you always have to press apply after you make a change like this. So now it'll spawn as a Rebel in game. You just can't see it here. So there. And you can also change their weapons. In here, somewhere, yeah, weapons. You can just change it to beer bottle. What? Shotgun, for example. And for the combine, I'll have it be a. Okay, it's already SMG1. So something else that you can do, so when you're in the 2D view, if you click again on your selection, so I'm selected on the NPC right now, if I click again in the selection, it'll make these dots on all the corners. So if you press on these, it'll rotate your entity or your brush. Now what I have that's really useful that you don't start off with is it's snapping to 15 degrees rotation. Otherwise it's just a free rotation and you can't align anything properly. So how you fix that, how you have that, you go to edit, no, It's tools, up here tools, and then options. In here you go to 2D views, and you go to default to 15-degree rotations. This will just lock your rotation so you can only go 15 degrees at a time. And I also suggest in 3D views to increase your back clipping plane to 32,000, or just max all of these up. Besides these, just max the render distance, model, all that stuff. Because usually, if you had those all down by now, these would all be like blocked, so you couldn't see them from afar in Hammer. Because you know it was 2003 or 4, I don't even remember. And this was unoptimized and stuff, and people had bad computers. I just suggest doing that. So now I'm gonna move the citizen from the combine and rotate him around. So now when you spawn in game, they're gonna fight, I guess. So here's another thing. How you actually play your map, you press F9 and you save it to somewhere. So I'm just going to title my map, let's just say tutorial, and then you'll see this. So run map, normal, fast, fast, or it'll all be on normal. So if you have a big map, just put it on fast, because it'll make your compiling a lot faster. So you press OK here, and it'll just compile your map real quick. Basically meaning it'll just actually make your map into a playable level. You can see they're fighting. And here's the map. You can see how we got the cut corner, we got the decals, and walls. That's basically it. So let me go back into Hammer. So that's how you actually compile. Let's see, what else should I cover? Okay, so let me quickly cover triggers, which is my favorite thing in Hammer. So in your texture, you browse, you type in trigger. No, don't press enter because you know it'll close. Now double click on trigger, tools, trigger. It'll just pop up like this, trigger. So let's just say I wanted to trigger when you walked into this area over here. So I just make it real quick. Automatically in game, this won't do anything because you haven't actually set any functions of it. So basically, press on your trigger. Now on your keyboard, press Control and T at the same time. So Control T. This will tie an entity to the brush. That's what it's called. Basically meaning that it's like an entity for a brush. And there's all these different classes here. So there's a bunch more things you can do. So if you just type in trigger up here, there's a lot in here. Trigger wind, trigger weapon strip, watery death, teleport, soundscape, all this stuff. For this tutorial, I'm just going to put trigger once, meaning that you walk through it and it'll only trigger it once, as the name implies. Now I'll say, since we named our citizen, how I was talking about earlier, how you can like triggers and other things can call onto that. So here is how I'm going to teach inputs and outputs. Basically, you don't really need to worry about inputs at all. You go into outputs. Now, it's really simple. You just press add, and it's pretty straightforward. So my output name, you just press on this arrow here. So this is basically what's going to happen. So on trigger, meaning that when you step into it, you put on trigger here, or on start touch, but on trigger is more preferable for me. So basically when you trigger it, so when you walk into it, it'll target the citizen here. So basically if you have tons of names in here, you can just select which one you want. So basically it'll call into that, and then so via this output, this is all the stuff you can do to the citizen. So you can ignite the citizen, for example, become ragdoll, you could kill the citizen, or in Hammer, when you see kill, Basically, it's just meaning like it just disappears. Like it just removes it from the map. So you can set the health also. So for this, I'm just gonna say become ragdoll. So for another example, how I showed set health, you could also set the health. Where is it? Set health. Now, you're like, okay, so I put set health. How am I supposed to set it? Like, where am I supposed to set it and stuff? So you put with a parameter override of. So for normal ones that don't need any values, like become ragdoll. Oh, you can't even put one for that. So for set health, you just want to put like 1,000. Then that'll just put the citizen's health here to 1,000. Now I'm just gonna remove that because it's just gonna become a ragdoll, so it doesn't matter. So basically now that's how easy triggers are. That's literally how easy they are. You just walk through that and it will become a ragdoll. So now let's compile our map again, and I'll show you.
Combine!
Alright, so I'm gonna walk through the trigger. That's it, it becomes a ragdoll. So if I cleaned up everything again, I'm gonna walk through the trigger, it becomes a ragdoll. You can see the shotguns because he became a ragdoll. Oh, it becomes a ragdoll. It's that easy. And since it only triggers once, you can't do it twice. You get he's already down on the ground. So just a little recap. This is how you name your entities. You go into name, and you can just rename them in here. And if you want to put a name on something, you can call it from a trigger or anything else, really. So, for example, actually, for this Combine, you don't even need to put a name for him, because if you put an output on him, so like when this Combine is, where is it? On death. So when this Combine dies, the citizen will, ignite. Why not? So basically now, when you kill this Combine, this citizen here will die, or ignite. Another recap here is rotation. Just press on it once and rotate. Just hold the outer dots and rotate. Now, there's 3 settings here. There's the scaling, the normal scaling. There's the rotation, and there's this last mode right here with the 4 dots. You want to avoid that at every single cost. Just get off of it immediately. It'll ruin all your brushes. Okay, I remember when I made my first map, and look at this. It just shifts it. You do not want that. It just broke all my brushes in my first map. So just avoid that at all costs. So, hope you enjoyed this episode, and hope you learned something. And see you in the next episode.